Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Medieval Reader. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time, but up until now I haven't really felt comfortable enough in front of the camera to be able to talk about these things, particularly what my channel is about. I've had this channel for over 6 months now, and during this time I've been thinking about what it is that I really want to do on this channel and creating the kind of videos that excite me. But I also find that it's hard to know where exactly I belong on BookTube. Not whether I belong on BookTube, but where do I fit? And so this video is more of a personal reflection on my thoughts on a number of different bookish issues, things that excite me. It might be rambly, it might be long, but let's hope that is neither of the two and that I will edit out anything that is superfluous to this video. So let's begin. First, my channel name, The Medieval Reader. So I am a PhD student in French, interested in late medieval religious theater in particular. Now, I haven't started the research yet, but when I was applying, that is the area that I was personally interested in, and that's what I will be pursuing when it comes time to writing my dissertation. I'm also interested in Renaissance and early modern, even Enlightenment work. The only kind of literature that really doesn't interest me a whole lot is 20th century. I know that Clifford at Better Than Food Book Reviews does a lot of discussions about postmodern literature. If you're interested and you don't already know about his channel, he has talked about authors like Georges Bataille, Michel Houellebecq, etc. I just saw a video he made recently about Nadja by André Breton, and it was a book that we had to read for class, and I wasn't particularly excited about it, but he seemed to have really clicked with the work. So 20th century is generally something that I will read, but I don't know a whole lot about, whereas medieval Renaissance is something that I read a lot about on the side, going to the research library, looking for original material, primary source material, letters, sermons, plays, poems, just all kinds of really interesting works that aren't always available in modern vernacular languages. Even though they were written in vernacular languages, they're just not in the modern forms. So works that were originally written in Old French might be available in modern French or modern English. But I really also want to begin reading things in the original language. I'm still learning how to read French before 1400. But so yeah, that's why I gave my channel the name The Medieval Reader, because I do read a lot of medieval things, but I also read other things. And I want to put that out there because I've noticed a few comments where people are like, but you're reading something modern. Yes, I do read all kinds of things. It's just, it's a channel title. The image is Mary Punching the Devil, which is from a 14th century manuscript, I believe, and I just think it's fantastic. I also want to introduce French literature to English-speaking booktubers, because there are French booktubers. There is a whole French booktube, but they don't necessarily make videos in English. Sometimes they do. And I just want to introduce French works that are available in English translation to you all, so you can check them out for yourself, read works that I haven't read, recommend them to me. I just, as a way of expanding our horizons. I do predominantly read Western literature, which is definitely a weakness that I'd want to fix. I love being on BookTube because I get introduced to all kinds of literature. So I hope that I can contribute something and you all can contribute something to me. You've heard of Voltaire and Rousseau in school, but you've never read anything by them. So, maybe you want to read The Social Contract, or maybe you want to read finally Candide. I think I'm the only French literature student on English BookTube, I think. I might be wrong. Correct me if you are also a French literature student, because I haven't found anyone yet, so that would be really exciting. I do know there are some people on BookTube who are interested in medieval history and have told me that, which really, really excites me. I'm particularly fascinated by medieval historiography. Historiography is the field of study in which you look at history writing. So how were histories written? How were histories done? How did people think about history? So I'll give you some examples of medieval histories. We have, for example, Mélusine. Mélusine is a 14th century chronicle about a woman who is part serpent, but it is written as a chronicle, and the author, Jean d'Arras, actually spends quite a few pages talking about how this is a true history. Now, whether or not his contemporaries would actually think they're true, well, we don't know. There were quite a few people who did believe in fairies at the time. But there were also histories that were very serious in content. Like, there are no fairies, there's no magic, there's none of that Arthurian legendarium kind of associated with it, where they trace the history of something back to a biblical figure. So you have this form of history where a king will trace his lineage back to some biblical king. And that is a way of asserting the ancient lineage that he is perpetuating. So I'm really, really interested in history making, and it's hopefully something that I can talk about more on my channel. I have Eusebius's Church History. I have Lives of Saints, which are in their own ways kinds of histories because they tell the lives of these saints, but they're also filled with all of these miracles. They're clearly more than just histories. And so we can talk about what is a history? What is fact? What is fake news? Sometimes the line between fact or news and fake news, not always clear in medieval texts. Reading medieval, Renaissance, and early modern literature has really opened my mind to thinking about genre in new ways. Thinking about where, for example, the novel came from, how theater has evolved over the centuries, how theater at one time was the highest literary form, and now it's the novel that there are critics who bemoan the death of the novel because somehow the novel was this really great literary form. Yes, in the 19th and 20th centuries maybe, where it was very, very creative, but initially, for example, in the 17th century, it was looked down upon by theater critics because it was written predominantly by women and it covered romances. And so, it's just really interesting to see this change in taste over time. And also history, the history is super messy. I think the study of history is so important for combating intolerance. And I really want to be able to share that with others. But that's not only what my channel is about. I read all kinds of things for fun. I love when people recommend me books because I will try them, and if I love them, I will talk about them on my channel. I will mention the person who recommended the book to me because I feel like that's what BookTube is about. It's about learning about new books from others and making friends through that. So I really want to continue to try new things, all kinds of modern books, children's books. I'm not a book snob. I can't be a book snob. I read professionally, basically, all the time. I need a mental break. I can't always read high literature, and I don't think that children's literature necessarily is less stimulating. The amount of medieval literature I have read that would be considered lowbrow or smut, I can't even begin to count them. There's just so much. Farces, fabliaux, satires, sermons. You'd be amazed at what some of these monks will preach. There's all kinds of stuff. So you just can't be a snob if you're studying medieval history too. I think many of you have noticed that I don't really make negative reviews on my channel. It's because I read a lot, and books that get negative reviews are usually books that you have not heard of anyway. I'd rather spend my time promoting books that I've enjoyed than talking about books I haven't liked. However, if I have read a book that other people have enjoyed and I was disappointed by it, I will make a video expressing my disappointment because it is a book you've already heard of. But mostly my channel is positive, and this isn't to dictate what other booktubers should do. It's just simply the decision that I have made. I don't want necessarily my reviews to be seen as quote-unquote objective. And here's what I mean by that. I am not certainly paid to make reviews or, any of that. They are my opinions, and they're honest, but they also come from a very subjective perspective. I'm often very moved by books that include certain characteristics, and they just strike a chord in me for very subjective reasons. And I feel like those are also legitimate reasons why I can like a book. So I will express my enthusiasm on camera. I'm not really trying to be objective. It's not to say that, again, that I'm lying. It's simply that it's not dispassionate. My own subjective experience will come through in my reviews. Now, that's also why I prefer reviewing nonfiction, histories particularly, because then the question is facts. Even if I don't necessarily know the history that I'm reading, I can see the sources that the author uses. I can see, if there are footnotes, endnotes, how many primary sources are used, what kinds of secondary sources are used. I generally like reading histories that are written by academics because I'm interested in being an academic myself, but I really also want to promote academic works that are written for a general audience that you could buy at a bookstore, but are still written by specialists. I don't really do monthly wrap-ups, and I don't do book hauls. I've mentioned that before on here. I don't do monthly wrap-ups and do recent reads videos instead because I don't really like making videos on a schedule. I do tend to make my videos on Saturdays, which isn't always the best day for BookTube. I find that, less people watch my videos on Saturday, but that's really the day I have off, and I'm perfectly fine with the viewers I already have. I love the comments. The comments are my favorite part of BookTube, and if it takes me some time to respond to your comment, it's usually because it's really thought-provoking and I want to make sure to give a good response to your comment. I do consider myself a writer, but I am a writer of academic nonfiction. That is the kind of writing that I'm interested in, and I really, really want to be a scholar. I know that people do graduate school for a number of reasons, which are all perfectly viable, but I really do feel this calling, even with maybe the religious dimension of it included. I feel this great calling to be a scholar, and I know that getting a PhD today in the humanities isn't practical, but it is the decision I made. I took years off, a year off in particular, to do science, and I realized I was in the wrong field. I was spending my days in the research library going through volumes of 14th century sermons, and I realized I was in the wrong field, and I am very happy where I am. Yes, it's a lot of work. It is work. I have 3 term papers, 3 presentations, and an MA exam with an oral and a written component in the next month, all in April and the first week of May. It's crazy. At the end of our first year, we have an MA exam, and it's just so much work, but I really love what I do. And I do consider myself a writer. And so I hope to make some videos talking about academic writing and just academia in general, based on what I am learning, because it is a kind of writing that isn't talked about much on BookTube, and I know some of you are in graduate school and might be interested in such videos. But the most important thing that I want to do, and the reason why I started this channel, even though I had a blog already, is that I want to inspire people to make the kind of content they want to make about the topics that interest them, even if they are really weird interests or very special interests. I want to inspire people to make videos even if they're not always reading the same things other people are. I think that if I have inspired people to make the videos they want to make, I feel like I've done my job, and that's really, what inspired me to start my channel in the first place, because I had a blog for 4 years before that, and I still have this blog, and I constantly post on it as well, different content. But I really just wanted to make these videos because there were topics I wanted to talk about that I just felt I couldn't talk about in blog form. And I definitely get a wider audience on YouTube, so I'm more likely to find people who are also interested in what I'm interested in. But I really want to encourage people to make the kind of videos they want to make, even if that means talking about subjects that are less known on BookTube or even on YouTube in general, because I think that, you know, there are people who are maybe hesitating to have a channel because they think that their reading interests aren't cool enough. And maybe they're not cool enough. I mean, you know, I'm not going to be famous on YouTube or on BookTube or anything, but I have people who do care about my channel, and that's just really amazing. And I'm very thankful to everybody for subscribing, commenting, just being inspired by my videos and watching my videos. It's just been really amazing, and I'm very thankful. And I think that this exercise has been really good because it's hard for me to define what this channel is about, and hopefully this has helped you. I know it has helped me know what it's about. And that's all. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.